Welcome to E360 TV, the live streaming and on-demand destination for influential voices and enlightened audiences. We offer trending, grassroots, and purpose-driven content across a diverse range of interests. E360 TV is more than just watching programs. We offer the ability to interact with live shows connecting audiences to real, authentic influencers and storytellers while streaming to millions of devices. Real experiences. Raw conversations. One destination for it all. E360 TV.
On July 4th, 1962, I found myself in the lost and found of mankind. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that it wants to be there. Just because something finds its way to the lost and found doesn't mean that the person who lost it doesn't care for that lost item.
You are writing moments that people will learn from, grow from, and heal through for thousands of years. Together, we are co-authoring a unique moment in time. That DNA, those fingerprints, they're going to be gone. Ashes to ashes, dust to dust. But it is your story that they will tell for thousands of years. But only if you leave it. Things that do not serve you must go. The longer you wait, the more time you give them to trick you into serving them. 22 homes in foster care, everything I wore as a scar, as a shame, things that started like Velcro on my spirit. After just a few months, then years, then decades, I had believed myself into believing that they were indelible tattoos. Sometimes we have to be broken down to appreciate the view once we start getting up. I want you to leave this place and know that you have been changed. Why? How do I know it's true? Because each of you has just changed.
Hello, hello, hello. I have a question for you. Have you ever felt completely lost? You know, seeking purposeful direction that could and should propel your mission within your divine journey to that next level, but still it hasn't happened. Well, my name is Lauren Michaels Harris, and I'm the founder of P3, the Journey Series. People come to me because they're wounded. Many are scared, and even there are those who are bruised simply because they feel that they are increasingly, for whatever reason, losing their ability to dream. Now, this P3 program is not for a person who's just looking to start a business, no, but rather for those of you out there who have been on your journey and you've been navigating within your divine purpose, but you still desire to elevate to that level that you have not reached yet. If this is appealing, if this describes you, then I want to have a chat with you. I want to hear your story. So use the link below to get registered for your free seat at P3, the Journey Series. And let's get started. One story at a time. I'll see you inside. Click the link.
morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. Ooh, it got hot in here all of a sudden. Let me get out of this wintry coat. Don't let that fool you. It is blistery cold. Okay, it's not really blistery, but it's chilly here in the Chicago area. How is the weather this lunar eclipse day in your neck of the woods? Right? I remember when I was a kid. Do you remember this? Those of you that were born probably before the 90s, I would say. I don't know if they did it after that. But our class in school, well, at least for solar eclipses, we would go. Is it eclipse? Is that plural? Or do you say eclipses? Somebody put it in the comments. I don't know. Anyway, I don't know where they got the x-rays, but we would go outside with those literal x-rays and look through. And I remember they were always like, don't look at it bare-eyed, you'll go blind. And there was always me and another friend who were trying to convince kids, that's not true. Go ahead, look. And then we'd wait to see, can you still see me? Of course they didn't go blind. I guess you have to stare. I don't know. Anyway, and I wonder if that applies to a lunar eclipse, but it's going on right now. As a matter of fact, look at this. Look. And then I got a lot to share with you today. I found this little thing. It's just a news thing. There it is. In case you didn't know, look, it is real.
Today, there's going to be something special in the sky on Tuesday.
That's right. On November 8th, a total lunar eclipse will be seen nationwide. So that happens when the moon enters the Earth's shadow. That causes the light from the Earth's sunrises and sunsets to be cast on the moon, causing it to temporarily appear red. If you miss it, you're going to have to wait for the next one. That's going to be in 2025, which we're talking about the rain and the cloud cover, so we might have to wait.
Yeah, we might miss it, but hey, give it a shot.
So what time of day should I go outside to catch that? I don't get it, but I bet our guest can help us with that today because she knows everything about the sun, the moon, the stars, the planets, astrology. That's right. And if my grandma was here, she'd have went, astrology? That's the devil. Remember when people used to think that? I'm just saying. But anyway, do I have announcements? Let me see. I'm so anxious to get our guest in here. I can't even think straight. Well, okay, I do have this to share. Look at Mona Lisa after 4 drinks. Girl, I cannot look at her. I didn't know she was so full-figured, did you? Anyway, okay, I'm being silly. Let me get our guest ready. The bell. That is the bell of purpose. It is not the bell of accident. I didn't slip just now and ring it. I rang it on purpose, with purpose. Why? Glad you asked. Because just like that bell has a ring to it, yep, so does the truth. And when something going on up in here, that sounded very country-like. Them taters ready yet, Paul? Okay, when something is happening in here of a truthful nature, which is all the time, you're going to hear the bell ring so that you don't miss it. That's all that is. But here's my sidekick. She's here every day. She's been here for 6 years. This is my girl, Lucy McGillicuddy Ricardo. We're drinking cinnamon bun coffee. And again, it tastes nothing like a cinnamon bun, but it smells like one when it's brewing. Also, what else? Oh, I have one. I don't know where I put it. It's somewhere around here. Well, anyway, you guys, how come last week when I had stuff everywhere before I cleaned my office, this studio, this weekend, I could find everything and all that junk. Now that I cleaned up, I can't find anything. I think that's my ADHD. But anyway, who is our guest today? Now, I have her bio. I'm going to pull it up. I'm going to try. Okay. Because I should have printed it, but I couldn't sleep last night. I go to bed at 8:30. I did not wake up until like an hour and a half ago. I could not get up, and I couldn't go to sleep until 10:30, 11 o'clock. I wonder if that was that lunar eclipse messing with me. Anyway, who is Amy Bird? Okay. She is an evolutionary, astrologer, That's a bold statement. She's a painter and a Reiki practitioner. Hey, I just had my first Reiki session, distant Reiki session. I forgot to tell you about that. Saturday, an entire hour with Sherry McQueen, and it was awesome. I'm not kidding you. I'm going to have one every month. I'll just tell you about that later. But anyway, she's our guest is also a Reiki practitioner. She's based in London. How exciting. She has been studying astrology now for over 20 years and practicing it professionally for 12. She was particularly drawn to evolutionary, oh, I get it, astrology, because it helps us understand the major themes and lessons that are necessary for us to grow and evolve on a soul level. That's right. Her primary aim is to help people gain an understanding of their stories. Uh-oh, lost my place. There it is. No, of their soul's journey and inspire them to live their full potential. I love that. Nothing better than the soul. What is your soul thirsty for? I'm going to tell you, right? We need to talk about the soul a lot more than we do. It's everything. Anyway, Amy is passionate about her subject, and she's been teaching astrological workshops now for 10 years. She absolutely loves working with groups, empowering people to read their own charts. Can we do that? I thought it was like, don't you dare try to interpret your own charts, but I guess we can. We're going to find out about that. So that she does this so that we can discover our true purpose. Now, she's been writing about the new moons and full moons for 11 years and considers this her labor of love, as if it helps people. I didn't say as if. I did, but I didn't mean it. As it helps people to navigate their way through these unprecedented times that we are currently living through. Unprecedented. Okay, Amy, I'm just letting you know. There's a standing rule on this show. You can use no words with more than 6 syllables. Unprecedented had 5. You're getting awfully close. That's your first warning. So what if it says Dr. Lauren? I still only have a 12th grade education. I'm just saying. So anyway, she's never been here. She's all the way in London. She got up. I don't know. Wait a minute. What time is it there? I'll find out because I put world clocks on here yesterday. I got to go look. But she's on her way in. So would you please bless Amy as she is going to bless us? She's going to pour into us today, you guys. So put some virtual hearts on the screen. It's our way of applauding because here she comes. Welcome to the show, Amy Bird. Amy, good morning.
Good morning.
Oh, you changed your lighting.
I don't think I did, actually.
Oh, you look great. Oh,
Still
you
look
guys,
like a ghost.
Amy wanted you guys to know she is not anemic, although she says she looks like it today. Well, compared to me, you are. I'm Cocoa Brown. So anyway, I am so excited you're here. What a perfect day with this lunar eclipse. And man, you have been doing what you do for a minute now. So I would like for you to have just a personal moment as we get started with the audience. So I'm going to go over here and let you have it all to yourself. And I'll be right back. Just say hello. Tell them where you're at. And anything I may have missed. And then we'll get started. Is that okay?
Yeah.
She's frozen. Okay, there you are. And you know, okay, you guys, she keeps, look how far she is away from us. So she's going to keep going and coming. Plus that lunar thing is probably messing with those satellites. I don't know. Amy, say hello. It's all you.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I absolutely love astrology. And I think that this is a wonderful day to be doing this because it's a lunar eclipse. And I think it's one of the biggest moons of the year. And it's interesting that it's falling on such a powerful day in the US. And I'm very, very happy to be here. And I guess, yeah, am I back? You're back.
No, keep going. You said powerful day, and you're talking about the elections?
Yes, that.
Oh
yeah.
my God! Hold on.
But,
I'll be back. I need to go and throw up.
I don't want to talk about the elections too much.
I was going to say, I'm going to go vomit in my mouth real quick. I'll be right back.
Yeah. Yeah, that's funny. You do make me laugh. That's good. Yes, I'm very happy to be here and share the love that I have of astrology with you all, basically. And I think that's it.
It is. Amy, you're so sweet. You really are. I can't even imagine you losing your temper.
It happens once in a while, but not very often.
I know.
Very, very rare, actually.
Yeah, and I bet it's like, that's it. That was you losing your temper. That's probably.
So, I lose the temper in the bathroom.
That's right. Listen, I want to show a little clip. We're not going to watch it all, but we're going to listen to a couple of them. I think there's 5. We'll listen to a couple. No, there's 6. 6 common myths regarding astrology. So we'll listen, and then I'm going to come back. You can talk about it. That's what they say, but this is the truth. This is what I know. So let me pull that up. And that's not the right thing. What is it today? Hey, do these eclipses, do they mess with things like that Mercury retrograde? Ugh.
Not like Mercury retrograde, but it is a very powerfully energetic time. Yes. And it makes sense that you wouldn't have been able to sleep.
It does?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Thank goodness. Because I took my Unisom and melatonin and everything and still couldn't do it. And when you said powerful day, you guys remind me one of these days to tell you, I have these karma cords, and they're blessed and everything. And one just broke. It has a wire in there. One broke the other day when I was in the kitchen and I was writing a download down and it just broke. It looked like it had been cut. And when the guy who makes these came to pick it up to fix it, he goes, you must have been going through a powerful, energetic moment because I've only seen this once before. And I was like, what? So anyway, we'll tie that in somehow today because I want to get your take on that. But let's take a look at this little clippy regarding myths regarding astrology. I wish my grandma was alive so she could change her "it's the devil" attitude. Well, that's what she used to say. Here we go.
The practice of reading the stars to gain insight into our life has been around for thousands of years, and yet it's still vastly misunderstood. While reading editorialized horoscopes in magazines is certainly fun, it doesn't convey the full meaning of this. And ultimately to fulfill their own individual destiny. But in order to put this invaluable roadmap to use, some misconceptions need to be cleared up. Here are the most common myths related to astrology, which people often believe but are not true. Myth number 1. Astrology is considered nothing else but a trend. A trend is a flash in the pan, with a short shelf life that goes out of fashion as quickly as it comes into fashion. But astrology has existed as far back as 25,000 years ago. Astrology formed a large part of the existence for Greeks, Egyptians, and Babylonians.
Okay. All right. Let's how do I get that off the screen? I'm going to remove that. Okay. Amy, 25,000 years. Myth or truth? Oh, I muted you. Hold on. Let me unmute you. Wait, Amy. Sorry, I did that. Is it true?
Yes, as far as I know. I mean, as long as we've been looking at been able to see the planets, people have been kind of charting it, and kings and queens have used it, and I'm sure politicians use it, and people use it for their own gain, and to kind of navigate their way through. So
even today,
I think so. I don't think it's a coincidence that there's an election today. So I have a feeling that the powers that be, or people who have the access to a good astrologer, probably use them. That's my theory. It's not the truth for sure. But
so, Amy, let me ask you: were you raised in a religious household?
No.
No.
wasn't.
Okay. Do you have people in your close circle that are religious?
No, not really.
Wow.
And I've
How'd you
known
pull that?
people along the way that are religious, and I know a lot of people with faith, but not necessarily traditional religious backgrounds.
So, do you feel today, like I was, kind of making fun, but it was true. If you ever mentioned, oh, I wonder what my horoscope is today, my grandmother would chase you down and try to bless you and get away from that devil worshiping. Is it like that still today, somewhat, or have we grown to be more accepting of astrology?
I feel like I mean, as I said, I'm not kind of I don't come into contact with people who are, you know, religious on an everyday level,
Yeah.
on an everyday basis. But I have in the past. I remember meeting people in a station when I was just starting to study astrology, and they said this is the devil's work. But I feel like over the past few years, with more and more blogs coming out and people being able to see how it actually correlates to their, what's going on in their life. And say,
Yes.
so people might read my blog, for instance, and go, oh yeah, I'm experiencing that, and then another person might be experiencing it in a different way. So I think people are, because it's becoming a bit more mainstream and more available, that possibly people are starting to accept it. But I can't answer for the people who are living in areas where it's a bit more backward or a bit more religious, or
Okay.
or people are really in the hardcore traditional religion.
So take us back. You said 20 years you've kind of been dipping and dabbing up in here in astrology. So before you officially dove into the astrology pond or water, so to speak, was it a hobby or were you just walking down the street one day or night and all of a sudden a beam of light came over you, kind of like on the screen back there, and you were like, I am an astrologist? How did you know that this was a gift for you?
Okay, well, my mum had always loved astrology, so we always talked it through, and so it was, I suppose, if it was part of my childhood in a way. And to this day, she still, reads astrology. But then I was originally I was in America, and I had a big heartbreak happen. I was really, I was about to marry someone, and then they ended it, and I just
What's his
asked my
name?
mom.
Tell me where
I'm
he's
not
at. I'll
I'll
track
tell
him
you.
down, Amy.
So I just decided that instead of leaving, I needed to leave because I felt like we were just going to keep running into each other and it was going to be more heartbreak. So I just decided that I would find an astrology course. And so I asked my mum to find me one, and she needed to find a hypnotherapy course for herself at the time. And I'd been nagging her about that. So she looked online, found a hypnotherapy course for her. And then on that hypnotherapy course was an evolutionary astrologer who was about to start teaching his first course. And it all aligned. And I'm so pleased that my mom became a hypnotherapist and
Yeah,
out of it as well.
all aligned. And they always say that it's written in the stars, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this. When you began, was it overwhelming? Was there like, how am I going to, or did it just feel like a natural thing that was always missing, but now was there for you? What was that like?
Yeah. I was, I think about 26, 27 years old at the time. So I was thirsty and I absolutely loved it. But looking at your first astrological chart and seeing all of these symbols, I think if I saw it now and I hadn't, I'd probably be a bit, overwhelmed. But at the time, I was just so excited. I think that my astrology teacher would call me a very enthusiastic student. In fact, I think he has.
So, well, I no doubt, and we'll go deeper into that. But tell us about, I don't know about you guys out there, but I had never really, or I don't remember anyway, hearing evolutionary astrology. So
Talk about what that actually means so we can all understand it as we move forward in the interview.
Okay. Evolutionary astrology for me feels different in that it focuses on Pluto and the nodes of the moon, and the nodes of the moon are what are being kind of activated by this lunar eclipse actually today, and they're otherwise known as the destiny line. And that gives you the beauty of this type of astrology is it gives you something to work towards almost. It gives you a sense of where you're coming from in your past, maybe in past lives that will be playing out in your childhood in this life. And then it gives a sense of what you need to do in order to move forward and to grow on a soul level. And that often includes stepping way outside of the comfort zone. And often when I speak to people about, say, their North Node or, you know, the Pluto and what, you know, the Pluto polarity point, for instance, you often see them squirm. And I know I squirm about my North Node. It's that part of us that we know we need and we kind of yearn for, but at the same time, so that's the difference with the evolutionary astrology. It feels like it's, for me, it gives you an idea of where your growth lies instead of just saying, this is who you are and this is what your, you know, this is your traits. It's kind of a sense of, okay, this is my purpose. This is something beyond career, but something that I need to do for myself on a deeper level.
Amy, what is a node?
A node is a point in the chart that is where the moon's orbit hits the ecliptic, which is the ecliptic. Yeah. So and the north node of the moon is our growth. The north node of the moon is our growth, and the south node of the moon is our traits and the things that we may tend to rely on or our comfort zone. And it could be some superpowers that we're bringing forward, but it is also maybe some things that we're a little bit too comfortable with and maybe we need to let go of a little bit as well.
Okay. So why do you think we have the eclipse? I mean, you know what I mean? As far as it ties into astrology, it's almost like a holiday.
Yes.
You know, and part two of the question, do astrologists, is this like a jubilee, you know, today? Do you guys get really excited because of a day like today?
I certainly do.
Why? What makes it so special?
Well, if you think about, imagine when you were young, I mean, not when you were younger, when we were younger as a civilization, before internet, before television, imagine walking along and seeing an eclipse. You'd think that the sky was like there was a god talking to you or something like that. And that, you know, I think people used to be quite afraid of eclipses, but they're very powerfully energetic times when we have a potential for some really big growth in terms of something ending and something beginning. So it's a good time to kind of let go, and we might it might happen just naturally. We may have no choice in the matter, but to let go of things. And this particular, go on, you go.
No, go on, you go on. I'm trying to keep my mouth shut, so because keep going.
And this particular one it's kind of in the Scorpio Taurus axis. The north node is in Taurus and the south node is in Scorpio. And I think because we're in Scorpio season at the moment, there is a sense that I've been getting from this particular eclipse that we're being forced to look at whatever we've swept underneath the carpet. The things that, you know, that make us a little bit uncomfortable. People are being forced to kind of face up to that. And because Uranus is so much involved, Uranus is the planet of insight and clarity, then we have clarity into what it is that needs to change. And I think that once you see, you can't unsee. Do you see? Once you realize what needs to change, you can't go back, can you?
Even if you don't address it, it's still like a splinter. You keep bumping it. What is that? Or something in your teeth, you know, or something in your eye. There's three analogies. Yes. So Amy, how do you recommend, or what do people do, or what could we do to fully embrace today and make the most of it? So this thing about facing things, how do we do it? Do we just sit somewhere and go, I want to get rid of this thing that doesn't serve me? I'm being serious. How do we capitalize? How do we monetize on this opportunity known as the lunar
Yeah.
eclipse?
Well, I think that it will have been working its way through us as the days have come up until this point. And I think it's basically a process that yes, I think it's about being emotionally honest with ourselves and just being willing to change and willing to grow. And it's hard to be emotionally honest, and it's hard to kind of go, okay, I know that this needs to change, or I know this needs to pass out of my life. But I think it's just about being really just open to that and honest with ourselves, basically. And in terms of, doing something, I think that's the best we can do, especially with this particular eclipse, is just allow what needs to go to pass and kind of look forward to and be clear maybe about what it is we really want for ourselves, maybe to write those things down, and not dwell on the things that we don't want as much as focusing on the things that we would like in our lives. If this is a new chapter, then best not to focus on the negative, but to focus
on the positive.
Forward.
Makes perfect sense, because if we leave things there that do not serve us, oftentimes because we're either, ambivalent or fearful of facing it. But when you have a reason to evict something, listen, I love you, girl, and I told you could sleep on the couch, but you said it was going to be a couple days, and it's been 2 years. It's a lunar eclipse, so you got to go because I got somebody else who needs to take that bed. That kind of a thing.
Yes.
Have something better. It gives us strength sometimes to do things that we didn't have the fortitude previously to make happen. So let me ask you this. Since the stars and all of this provide us with messages, guidance, what or whom do you believe gives us those messages up there? Do they just do the stars just glide towards each other and fall into some pattern? Or is there something greater saying, here, world, read this?
Yeah. I do believe in a higher power, for sure. And there is, and of course, otherwise I wouldn't be doing this kind of astrology. It's interesting though, that I'm not quite sure whether it's order or chaos though, is life, is it all a little bit more chaotic than we think, or is it all a kind of a perfect pattern? And, and with regard to the astrology, I think that one of the criticisms of astrology maybe is that people live too rigidly by it and go, oh, because I'm a Taurus, I'm going to be this way, or because you're like that you have to be that way, or, and I think it's important not to be too rigid about anything and to just go with the flow. And I guess that's what the universal consciousness would have us do. Just kind of allow those little voices, that voice, and allow the synchronicities to occur and be open to the magic in life. And that sometimes doesn't make sense.
I got chills on that. The magic in life. I love that. Amy, what about that piece where people say, oh, I went on a date and he was a really nice guy, but unfortunately he's an Aries and we don't get along. Do people is that some of that rigidness that you were just speaking of, where you got to go like, come on now?
Exactly.
Yeah. No, and take this with it too. So are there ways that astrology has been bastardized because of a commercial lens? People using it to, sell horoscopes and this, that, and the other, giving people what they want to hear instead of what they need to hear. Talk about that if you could.
Yeah, I do think that sun sign astrology, as I suppose what you're talking about, is one tiny little aspect of a chart. And when people say, oh, I don't believe in astrology, I said, well, you can't say you don't believe in astrology unless you've had your astrological chart done, because how can you say, and I think that that sun sign astrology has definitely given astrology a very bad name. And one aspect, it's the sun, and it is very important because the sun is what we radiate out into the world. Like I am a Leo and I radiate my Leo-ness, but there are several other planets at play in the houses, in different signs, that all make up the more complex version of who I am. And so say a Taurus meets an Aries and they're not supposed to get on, that Taurus might have an Aries moon. And so there's a reason why they've met that Aries person and they have that in common, but they don't know that. So I don't think anybody should limit themselves as a result of astrology.
What about when people go to the newspaper, Amy, and say, ooh, I can't go on this trip with you today because my horoscope told me that something bad was going to happen?
Yeah, that is very unlikely. Yeah, it's an interesting one because it's I'm not entirely sure what it's all based on in a way, because you can't tell how many percentage of the population something so specific to them when it's going to be affecting that many people. Does that make sense?
It does. So Amy, as an astrologer, as an evolutionary astrologer, we're going to go to a short break, and when we come back, is it possible, do you have some kind of a reading or something you can provide us today? Because we're all here together in a sacred space. It is a lunar eclipse. Is there something like a gift that you could give us today as far as a message? Or, I'm grasping for straws, but I'm hoping you got something. Do you?
I don't know. We'll see. I have got I have the eclipse chart in front of me, so I can have a look at that for us.
Okay, we're going to go for 2 minutes so Amy can get this reading. Is it called a reading?
I guess so.
Okay,
yes, it's called a reading.
It's a reading. Do you own a crystal ball?
No.
Oh, I just wonder. For some reason, I picture you at a round table with a crystal ball in the middle.
Ooh.
You're not a psychic. You're an evolutionary astrologer. And we'll be back with Amy Bird, evolutionary astrologer, after these messages from our sponsors. The first one is from me. If you or someone you know is a consummate content creator, a storyteller, and they want to go to a new level, tell them about Trajectory TV. What is it? It's a sacred space where content meets direction. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. Don't go away. Get your questions ready for Amy Bird. We'll be back in just a moment. Welcome back to today's lunar eclipse episode of Bathrobe Moments. We are going to get our great guest, Amy Bird, back in. But first, I wanted to tell you, this is a great choice. It's better than power drinks. It's better than soda. Why? I'll tell you why. Because it's only 60 calories. It's 2.5 servings of vegetables in every one of these little cans, and I don't know how they squeeze them in there, but they do. And it's easy peasy to find. Head down the juice aisle at your local grocer, and when you get to the checkout counter, tell them Lauren sent you from Bathrobe Moments. Well, they might not know me, but anyway, get some V8. You'll be glad you did. Amy, welcome back. So glad to have you back. So, before we went to the break, we were talking all kinds of things about the history of astrology and also this thing that you do called evolutionary
astrology.
Astrology. And you were going to take a look and tell us what the charts say about today. So I'm going to dip out and you take it away. She doesn't like it when she's on the screen by herself, you guys. So
No.
put some hearts up there. Okay, all you, Amy. I'll know when to come back. Don't worry. I won't leave you alone too long. Okay.
Okay. All right. So firstly, because this is the 8th of the month, anybody with their birthday on the 8th of any month will feel this more acutely than other people. Today, we're in Scorpio season at the moment, and that is a time of shedding and letting go and releasing what doesn't serve us and kind of transforming and a kind of a feeling of like shedding skin almost and kind of like removing toxic influences. That's funny. So yeah, a sense of kind of, transformation going on. This particular eclipse has got Uranus sitting on top of Taurus. And as I was saying, there's a feeling with this particular moment that if we're in a comfortable rut, if there's something that we're just sitting with and it feels comfortable, but we know it's a bit stagnant, we know it's not that good for us, then it's a really good time to kind of like recognize or be clear about what needs to go. And so from our lives in a way, and what needs to move along, and be really clear about that. And Taurus is a sign that doesn't really like change, so it is that part of us that may resist change a little bit, but it feels like change is inevitable at this time. So if there's anything in your life that you go, when I say this, that you think, oh goodness, yeah, I know exactly what that is, it's this thing that I've been putting up with, then it's a really good time to kind of like set intentions to let that go, or at least be very emotionally honest with ourselves around that. In the meantime, Saturn is forming a square to the sun, the moon, and the nodes at the moment, which is a bit of a reality check as well. It's basically saying, face up to reality and see what needs to change, and be honest with yourself. And Saturn is the planet of, it's our fears as well. It's what we, it's our cautious side. It's the part of us that is afraid to do something because our imagination makes things bigger than they are. And so it's really important at this time to kind of recognize those fears and not let them overtake us in a way. And and to kind of like the beauty of this eclipse as well is that there's Neptune involved, is in a very beneficial way. And so while we may have these fears, I think that there is a sense of, with Neptune involved, of remembering that we're all in this together, and remembering to just allow the flow to happen, and to not get too stuck in the, not get too stuck in our fears, embrace the change, and just like let whatever comes our way come our way. And yeah, it's a beautiful thing, is Neptune, because it's this it's a reminder to have compassion and acceptance and flow and forgiveness for anything that we may have done and others may have done, and just to kind of like allow life to happen. So it's a very, very powerful moon. Very, very powerful. I can't hear you.
That's so funny. I was doing a crossword puzzle last night, and the answer was "you're on mute." And I was laughing. I was telling my husband,
That's next.
every day somebody does that on a meeting. I am so grateful, Amy. Thank you for breaking that down for me and for us, because, you know, for decades, this type of thing has come and gone, and I always thought it was just, oh, run out and take a look, isn't that pretty? But it is much deeper than that. So let me ask you this. Let's say me, for example, would like to know about my astrological chart. What would I expect to gain from what you might find in my astrological chart?
Okay. You would expect to, one of the things that we would do is I tend to explore any patterns, anything that may have happened in childhood or early life that may be a bit of a struggle, may have been a difficulty, but may also become a superpower in some way. Because I tend to find that within the chart, those very things that were difficult in our lives, they happen for a reason.
Yeah.
And they become part of the person that we are today. And it means that we can help heal other people, or just help with empathy and compassion for other people for that. It also, one of the most exciting things for me about doing the chart is helping people kind of discover their potential, and not so much what you're here to do career wise. Sometimes your purpose correlates with your career,
but they're two separate
more
things.
often than not, it's just something that people do naturally. And also you would find out kind of, or become more clear, have more objectivity on the parts of yourself that you might need to kind of work on, or, as I was saying, step outside of the comfort zone towards. So it gives a good impression. It gives you a good impression of what it is that you need in order to grow, even though that might not be comfortable. And I think that basically with the evolutionary astrology, it is very much it's the very Scorpio. We're in Scorpio season. Pluto's the ruler of Scorpio, and Pluto is the kind of the root of evolutionary astrology. And it's where our subconscious comes out, where we're compulsively led, where we have obsessions, and it's also where our growth lies. I mean, I had a very, very powerful experience with Pluto, where I smashed into a tree in the Pine Barrens and had my life-changing experience. And it was when Pluto was forming a square to my Pluto. So it was a bit like getting a cosmic kick up the bum, and everything fell away at that point. And all my kind of my alcohol or whatever it is that I was doing, smoking cigarettes.
I can interpret.
Okay.
Did you hear that?
No, I didn't.
I interpret the internet's going all kind of bonkers. I just wanted the audience to know that I speak Londonese, so I told them that bum means butt. They didn't know. But anyway, go ahead with your story. Go ahead.
Oh, well, it was
Pluto.
Basically that I was in one of those stagnant ruts, and my nodes were being activated very much like the nodes today. And I was in a very comfortable position where I was living, and everything was great on some levels, but I wasn't living my soul potential. And so I guess I needed to smash into a tree and shatter my heel and not be able to work anymore. And then everything kind of fell away from there. And it was one of the most painful times of my life and one of the most beautiful times of my life. And that was basically when I looked back later on, I saw that Pluto was square my Pluto, sitting on top of my North Node. It was like I was primed astrologically for the most powerful transformation. And then later that, about 2 days after my cast off, I went downriver again, and a giant prehistoric dragonfly came and sat on my knee while I was sitting next to the tree that I smashed into. And that was the moment where I realized I was going through a metamorphosis. I didn't clock it until then, and then suddenly I realized. And so that's the power of Pluto. Things needed to change for me. I was not living my true potential, and so I needed a very cosmic shock, really, for me to kind of like to kickstart me. And I see that as my change, the moment that changed everything, basically.
That metamorphosis. Lori Whitney, right on point, right on time. Lori says, I find myself at times trying to glue back my feathers after they have fallen from my wings.
Oh,
That's powerful. That's powerful. And
yes.
ties right into what you were saying.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
Amy, back to getting our charts done. So,
Yeah.
do you have to configure the chart, or do you get information from us and then put it together? I'm really trying to figure out how I can get one, to keep it real. That's what I want to know.
Okay.
What's it take?
Okay. I don't need anything at all except for your time of birth as exact as possible, which America, I think you do have it on your birth certificates. Time of birth, date of birth, and place of birth. And that's all I need to do an astrological chart. And then I do the chart, and then I do a 90-minute session on Zoom where we talk it through. And to be honest, that's where the magic happens for me, the talking it through. I read the symbols and I tell you about your chart. And as I talk, it brings things up and you talk. And then the magic happens between the two of us, between you, the expert on your life, and me, the reader of the symbols.
Wow.
So it's an honor and a privilege, to be honest, to do this kind of work, because it does go quite deep, quite quickly, but in a really beautiful way. So.
What have you seen happen from a person? You don't have to use a name, but a client of yours that, I'm sure you have a plethora of stories, but what is one of your favorite ones where a person came and the unexpected happened?
I'm not sure. It's funny. It's trying to remember it at this moment, but there were two. I guess the one that pops to mind is someone who is a channel, and I did her chart for her, and she is a very intuitive person that I think that maybe at that moment in time didn't have the confidence to do that and to kind of channel higher wisdom. I think she channels kind of higher beings, basically. And until that moment, I think she'd maybe been a bit shy of it. But what the astrology did was just, it validated her somehow, and made her realize it's actually in the chart. And so you can see it more clearly, and it kind of gives you more confidence to move out into the world. And now she's doing it all the time. So
wow,
that's the one that pops to mind anyway.
So the chart can bring something into flow that we've been suspicious of or had an inkling of, but had no ground zero proof. And so this kind of goes, wait a minute. And once because you can be chosen, but you must choose in return.
Absolutely.
Mm.
And that's the truth.
So Amy, you guys, Amy Bird Astrology on Facebook, but I would think the website for those wanting to book a session.
Yeah.
Starting with me.
Yes.
I'm first. I'm just kidding. I'm going to do it. Would you recommend we go to the website first?
Definitely.
And we can book right there.
Yeah. And I also have my blog on there that I write about them. I've written about this moon, and the new moons and the full moons are on there. That's my gift to the world.
Oh my goodness, that is so incredible. And I have read some of Amy's work, some of her postings, and it's not some quick little, throw it against the wall and hope it sticks kind of thing. It is quite extensive, and be prepared. Don't try to read one of her posts while you're, going through the car wash or waiting in line, because you're going to be stuck there for a minute. Trust me.
Yeah.
Amy, Wow. Any last comments or statements? What do you want to leave us with? We got about 1 minute left, and it's just been so fabulous being here with you. Just perfection.
Yeah, it's just really lovely to have met you, and thank you for making me feel so comfortable. I appreciate it.
Oh,
And
thank you. She was very
yeah,
shy.
no, yeah, I think that's it really. I am a
Amy,
bit shy.
You are, but you know what? You're the real deal. I can feel it moving through my spirit. 4 words that stood out to me today, you guys. If I were you, I'd write them down. I've already done so. Emotionally honest, resonated, and so did soul potential. Those are just 4 of the many words of truth today that came through, and why I want to remind you of the truth. Just like this bell, it has a ring to it. Do something with it. When these things speak to you, speak back and allow spiritual magic to enter your realm, to enter your process, your ascension. We're all going to get there, but only if we try. Amy, thank you so much. Blessings to you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, your week, your month, your year, forever. I can't wait to have you back. Could we get you back like maybe once every other month?
Absolutely. Yeah, be happy to.
Yay. Listen, you guys get out there today and have the very best day possible. Get out today and be the change you would like to see in the world. I'm grateful for you. That's all I want to say about that. And I hope that you'll join me tomorrow morning at 8 a.m. Central, right out on the front porch, where we again together will embark upon another illuminated conversation right here on Bathrobe Moments. Amy, have a great day. Thank you again. Thank all of you. I'm Lauren. I'll see you soon. Bye-bye. Have a great one.
Show me your soul. Baby, I'll show you mine. Show me your soul. Honey, it's way past time. How expensive do I have to be? Need I spell it out before you get it, baby? Show me your soul. And honey, I'll show you.